I've got some questions. I've got a clipboard. I'm very official here, and I've got myself a chair, so I'm going to get comfy. I'm going to ask you guys some questions and allow everyone to sort of get to know you guys a little bit better. You are being recorded as well, just to let you know.
Live.
Not to sound like, not live. No, we are live, I think, at some point. But yeah, I'd not to sound like Davina McCall or anything like that, but no, I think you'll be well behaved. Ellen, we're going to come to you first of all, Head of Awareness and Experience here at Ben. I've got a question to start off. What's your team's role in helping people connect with Ben?
So we are responsible for telling people about Ben. So we manage all our social channels, and we have an outreach team and Ben on the road who are out and about all the time. But we are there to build trust, tell people what we're doing, and allow people access to get support. Firstly, the most important thing, they need to know how to get support, how to fundraise for us, and how that they can help us raise awareness. So we're doing all of those things, so we're busy doing that.
You're doing all those things, and you are on the social channels as well.
We are, yeah.
I'm
sorry everyone is sick of my voice already.
No, there's more to come as well. If you haven't seen the TikTok channel, make sure you follow it. There's more to come. There's some bloopers hanging around, definitely. So what's the vibe in your team right now? What are you proud of?
We're busy. We're really busy. And I think we're being a bit louder. We're being a bit more direct. We're asking much more direct questions, and we're asking more of people. So it's a bit of a change for us. We've been a lot bolder in our communication, so hopefully everyone can feel and see that. And we're trying to be a bit more fun. So hopefully you're seeing some of us do some silly things on TikTok with your help, Zach.
We've got a lot planned. There's a lot on the list that gets crossed out. That's all I can say. No, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, some of your ideas are a bit off.
Yeah, they are. I'll do that, but not that. Okay, Matt, we're going to come on to you now. Actually, funnily enough, you have appeared on TikTok.
I think I was the one that was saying no, wasn't I?
Yeah.
Against your will.
Against my will.
That was it, yeah.
Well, that's why that grumpy photo of me is fairly consistent.
You look
The most miserable man at Ben. It's fine.
There's a TikTok in that, Matt. There's a TikTok in that. We'll make it happen. We'll come on to the question for you. What's changed about how we approach income and fundraising at Ben?
Everything.
Right, okay.
Yeah, that's it. Next.
Oh, there we go.
So,
Next one.
Listen, for 120 years we've relied on the support of our industry and the people in it. But we've been missing some really kind of crucial building blocks. So when Ellen talks about raising awareness and building trust, I need those things for my team to be able to then exploit that and turn that into revenue generating. So we've moved on, I think, a little bit, and I think lots of charities moved on from raising money, shaking tins, and kind of the kind of low-level fundraising that you see. It's really important, so don't get me wrong, things like Christmas Jumper Day and all the other things that we do through the year are really important. If we're going to raise twice as much money in the next 5 years, I've not done it in the last 10 years, so we've got to do something really different.
Right.
And it's not that we dismiss anything that we've been doing for the last 10 years, because it's been really important, building relationships with the industry and kind of getting to the point where we're creating sustainable income. But if we're going to raise twice as much money to support significantly more people, because we know there's unmet need, we've got to do something differently. So that's my focus really is about, and the reason for the change of job title and everything else is about focusing on some big conversations with the industry about how they play their part to make it possible for us to achieve the things that, not just that we want to do, the reason we've got this big ambition is to do things that we know we need to do for them, and that's what's changed. That's a really different approach to the way it was when I started 10 years ago.
Right, okay. I mean, that's the thing, I think, with social media now and being is it more loud and proud about the way you do things, you can see, but I'm intrigued to sort of ask you what your team are doing that people might not see, because we see lots of it, we see the breakfasts and the Christmas Jumper Day, but what are things that your team are doing that we might not see?
So it won't surprise anybody sitting here to know that I often say fundraising is bloody hard work. It's really tough to raise money from anybody, from an individual or a business. It's really, really tough. It's a tough gig. So behind the scenes with that, there's a load of relationship building, building connections. There's some of the business development team here and the fundraising teams here today. And there are two sides to it. Firstly, you've got to kind of build that connection, build the trust, as Ellen says, build the awareness. You know, no one's going to give you money without knowing what the charity does and the impact that money delivers. They trust us when they give us money to deliver something with it, to actually achieve something good. because that's the reason people donate. There's a science to fundraising, not many people know that. There really is some real science and psychology behind it. So the stuff that goes on behind the scenes is really important, and the team are out every day. The people are, my BD team are on the road every day visiting businesses, talking to them about what their issues are, listening really carefully to what the health and wellbeing issues are in the industry. What are you facing? That's a change in fundraising, because fundraising is traditionally, we've got this massive problem, we need your money. What we're trying to say is we're trying to partner with the industry by saying, what are your problems? How can we adapt our services to be able to deliver more and deliver better? And then will you support it? If we do good for you, will you support us by giving us some money? And that's a conversation that people don't see. So when everybody's wearing a Christmas jumper or raffling a Ben Bear, or when we're trudging through the Sahara or climbing a mountain with industry leaders, the stuff that goes on behind the scenes to get to that point that's our job. Yeah. The other bit's fun.
Yeah, the other bit, the Sahara was fun, was it?
There's people in this room that came with, so we'll take that there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've had the privilege of following you guys around and following your team, outreach team around with a camera, actually go and visit these places. And yeah, like you say, there's getting that buy-in is absolutely key with and actually listening to the industry seems to be working wonders, which is great, and lots of that will be seen on social media very, very soon. Martin, we'll come to you. I've got here, look, the newbie.
Yeah, I'll stick with that on my name for a long time. Yeah, really. I can get away with it as long as I can. Anyway.
Get away with it as long as you can. That's it. I quite like that. Yeah, the new one. Right. Okay. So you're new at Ben. What drew you to the charity, and what stood out so far?
Well, first to say, because Matt mentioned his picture, I'll say I'm so new. I'm looking a bit casual in that picture. I didn't get the glitzy.
You look very cheerful in that.
Glitzy shot. Well, I don't know how I was cheerful considering. Just been playing football for 3 hours.
Or is that what they did?
Sat in a corridor, can I have your photo now?
Propped it up in a corridor.
Oh, I can't believe they did that to you. Well, the newbie, I guess that's what you do, isn't it?
But that's part of the reason I've come here to join a community like this that just gets involved and does stuff. As I've been in the sector a long time, health and wellbeing type charities for a community is my background, and when I heard about this opportunity to couple that with the industry that I always thought I'd end up working with as a kid, this is what industry I thought I'd work in as an accountant, still not doing anything useful. So to put those two things together was a dream really, and I heard about this organisation for a long time. Looks great. It's been very exciting, so I'm really excited to be joining at this time.
Again, long may it continue. We've got the a legacy for support, future of impact. I wanted to talk about that next really. What does finance driving impact actually mean?
Oh,
here we go. That's a question. I told you I've got some questions. I've got some good ones.
Yeah,
that's it, everyone.
Well, no, I keep it simple. To some extent, Rachel touched on these with some of the stats earlier. So talking about, for every £1 spent, the impact it'll have on mental health or where prevention adds a further element to increase the value you can get from every £1 you spend. And that's our job really. We've got to work out where's the maximum impact we can deliver on this community, and the variety is huge. The options we could be taking are massive, and we need to really focus in and make sure every £1 that we spend has a purpose to it. We've got a plan, we've got the data and the insights, and we are following something that tells us we are doing the best we can for this community. So that's going to really help us focus our efforts much more going forward.
It's nice to know there is some method to the madness. We see the Sahara, we see all the challenges. I think the other week we were all together at the mini museum and whatever, and you were trying to sign people up for industry leader challenges there and then. That's what it is. But yeah, making sure that it's all driven behind data and sort of.
Yeah, like Matt said earlier, it's all there is science behind this. We're not unique. There's things out there that there are patterns and behaviours and things that we can learn from. It's important we use that to help drive all our decisions, because that's the way we'll do the best we can.
Indeed. Okay, Rachel, it's your turn. So you assumed the role of CEO last year. A very broad question. How's it been?
Okay.
So far, and what have you been focusing on?
Yeah, okay, so it's probably fair to say that I assumed the role of CEO at probably the biggest time of Ben's transformation that we could possibly be in. So we made a seismic decision, 12 months before that in the kind of transfer of our care and village services. So overseeing that kind of divestment programme, so coming into that has clearly been a significant focus and a really interesting and steep learning curve. But us juggling that with then what the future of the charity needs to look like. So thinking about people change management programs, our strategy for the future, and putting and laying some sort of core foundations in place. We have only just got together as a new senior leadership team, so that transition from old to new, that kind of legacy, bold ambition bit. So I've been juggling all of that, but like obviously really pleased that we are so now close to that kind of completion of the divestment programme, which is why this event is really timely, because it's a marker in the sand for us that we are new, we are refreshed, and we are focused totally on the industry and its needs.
We've had the pleasure of having this chat, I think, at Auto Mechanica recently. We had a very similar sort of chat. It was us three, wasn't it? And your passion just comes through in waves, and obviously earlier on when we heard from you. But I wanted to ask you what the highlights have been, and then what the challenges. I'm putting you on the spot a little bit here. The highlights and the challenges, if you can.
I'm not sure that was in the script. This
is what we do. We go off piste sometimes. What have been the highlights, and what have been the main challenges, would you say?
Well, I think actually securing the role in the first place was a really, a massive highlight. It was quite a rigorous recruitment process, quite rightly so. So I do feel like I've earned my stripes. But that kind of moving from a health and wellbeing director role into this role, I really enjoy that kind of helicoptering over of everything. And I've learned a lot about other parts of the organisation that I might not have been as involved with. So I've thoroughly enjoyed that. I've really enjoyed bringing this new team together, and there's lots for us to do. We have a lot of work to do to just kind of get our ways of working into place. Did you say challenges?
Yeah, and what are the main challenges?
Truthfully, the biggest challenge is just managing that transition from old to new, and trying to really consider everybody in that, because we've got different people internally in the organisation that are in different situations, and trying to navigate our way around that and make sure that we are looking after everybody has been a bit of a challenge, but I think we've tried to take a very considered and deliberate approach.
Okay. And finally, I've got one more for you before we move on. I know, I'm really quizzing you. What would you say your leadership style is, and who has inspired you the most?
Okay, so I think my natural sort of leadership style is very servant. So I feel like as a leader, I am here to serve. So ultimately, that means serving our community. So our automotive industry is a strong starting point, but actually everybody that I work with. So the senior leadership team and all of the colleagues that I am responsible for. So I really do feel that. So that is leading with my ears, listening a lot, taking on feedback, actually also leading with compassion and empathy. And sometimes that can get a bit confused with not being prepared to make decisions and, and sometimes take the hard line. So I have been quite clear that in my leadership, I will always try to do the right thing. And over time, what I've realised, it's not always about doing the right thing, it's about doing it for the right reason. So that's always something that I come back to and say, is this the right, it's not just about the right thing, it's about doing it for the right reason and making sure that you communicate that with people. So definitely a sort of servant leader. I'd also say that I'm very people focused, thinking about change, thinking about the future and then how that impacts on people. So yeah.
There we go. Okay, well, I think in time we should come back and ask you guys what the leadership style is.
What she said.
Great answer.
Perfect. There we go. Moving on. Okay. Sarah, head of HR. I've got a question for you. Obviously, leading on from Rachel said more about people. How would you describe the people at Ben?
They're pretty resilient considering what the last 18 months has been like, and they've been asked to step up to the challenge, which they have passionately done, embracing our values, if you like. And I still feel like the new girl, really. Martin is the new boy, but I only came into this organisation for 6 months to lead the people transition. And I come from a commercial background where it only matters how much money goes in the till, and I made a conscious effort to get away from that. And you know, since I've joined Ben, I'm just in awe of the jobs that people do here and the value that they add. And you know, that's a big thing in the world at the moment, I think, which is amazing. And I think that, especially after today, really, I think everyone's just ready to move on through that change and that transformation, which, you know, has been a bit of a journey. It's a long time getting there. So yeah.
Perfect. I mean, I get the feeling, obviously, whenever we've sort of got together, it's each and every person that works with them trying to make a difference is a huge thing. And talking about your background, but perhaps you were part of a large machine where that wasn't always the case. Must be quite rewarding. Ellen, I'm going to come back to you with a challenging question again.
Always.
Where are you going to make the biggest difference this year?
I think everything's changed.
Okay.
So we're coming out at the end of a massive internal change. We're obviously launching a new vision for the industry. So hopefully everyone will feel a very different Ben. We are totally focused on the automotive industry now. So there is no distraction. We are moving forward with automotive. So I think the biggest change from us is, I said it earlier, we're going to be bolder, braver. We want to ask more, we want to listen more to the industry. What do you need from us? What do you need to hear? And we're going to front some difficult things. Like you heard the stats from Rachel earlier about we're losing 2 people a week. If we don't front those things, we're not going to talk about it. And if we don't talk about it, we're not going to change it. So I think you'll see us being a lot bolder with what we're telling the industry, and you should see some exciting stuff. I also want to show the amazing work that staff behind Ben do. I think Ben, at a period in time, was a bit of a front, and nobody knew who was behind Ben, and we didn't really show our staff. So I'm on a mission to show the amazing work that the staff do, and you recognise all their faces, and demystify some of the stuff that we do. So picking up the helpline isn't scary. You know what's going to happen when you pick up the helpline, and we're going to work to demystify a lot of the stuff that we do.
And hearing from, we hear the powerful stories that we just saw in the video at the start, but then also hearing your stories and hearing the people that actually work there is only gonna bolster that. About your particular team, so head of awareness and experience, what's one myth about your team you'd love to bust with busting?
I think there's a few marketing people in the room, and I think it would be the same for everybody. We're not here to make things pretty and make things look nice and do that. There's a psychology, the same with the fundraising. We have to understand that psychology of fundraising. We have to understand the psychology of impact, so we can message that and we can tell people about that. The challenge for us as a team is we have to understand everything that goes on with the business, because if we're going to communicate that externally, we have to know it, we have to understand it. So my team have a challenge to get to know everything that goes on. So that's a bit of a myth, but I think you probably see us out and about, and we won't always look like we're having a great time. We do. We didn't just arrive there though. We've been here for 24 hours. Yeah. So I think, the work that goes into these things, I love being here, love doing this kind of stuff, but a lot of work went into this, so it's probably,
Absolutely, it did. A lot of work went into this. I can actually testify to that. So, Matt, I'm going to come back to you in terms of you were talking about that, and I think I was out with Sarah the other week on one of the outreach team, and she said very similar thing to you about it's not about just shaking the bucket and like, can I have some money anymore? So, in terms of with that in mind, where's the income growth coming from next?
Don't know, you tell me. I think it changes. So I guess, strategically, more kind of fundraising challenge events, more of the kind of campaigns that we've been doing with Christmas Jumper Day and with Ben's Big Breakfast and things like that. But there is a limit to how much of people's calendar you can fill with things like that. So it's already hard enough to get businesses to say, we'll do one of those things, but we also support cancer research, and we do this, we do this, and we do this. So you can't dominate. So it is about kind of understanding the relationship and understanding how far you can push. but maximising what opportunities you do get. So that kind of fundraising piece is really important. So how do we, and Martin and I talk about this quite a bit, how do you crack the kind of volume metric? And we already do that. You know, lots of the OEMs, the manufacturers and the national sales companies still give us a contribution for every new vehicle that's registered in the UK. They've been doing that since 1989. And I often say, and this won't be new news to anybody that's heard me say this at the board before, the people who signed those deals are dead, pretty much. They signed them in 1989 when they were leading the big brands in the UK. Either dead or long retired. And actually, that scheme particularly still raises that £1.5 million a year for us. You can't replicate that because you'd never be able to do that nowadays in the global industry. It just wouldn't happen. So what's the next thing? You know, when that gradually ebbs away, which it will do over time, how do I replace that with something else? But that something else has to be big. And it's not about asking people, you know, of course, I often say that if you're going to ask somebody for £5,000, ask for 50, because the punch hurts the same. You know, you may as well just go for a bigger number. But, you know, we've got to be really strategic in saying, actually, how do you find something that offers value? So how do we get things like Ben Life, our new health and wellbeing solution, out into the industry as a way of saying, actually, you give us a bit, we'll give you a bit. How do we work in, that's what the core of partnerships. Partnerships is the key to everything. How do we work together with the industry to provide real value so that it's not just a one-way street. You're not just giving us cash and then we occasionally tell you how we spend it. How do you give us cash knowing we're going to do some real good with it? And then how do we show you that we're doing really, really good things with that? But also, how do we help you to crack, to Rachel's point earlier, how do we support the health and wellbeing of people in your business and in our industry to ensure the industry is still strong going forward? Because, you know, the global pressures of the industry are really, really, you know, they're in the news all the time. Who knows what the hell's going to happen with Trump and everybody else? So you've got to be really resilient, and your people need to be super resilient. So how do we give that value and convince people that the value is worth money?
And you kind of answered my next question in terms of what your biggest focuses are. So in terms of the challenges that you've got coming up, can you give us an idea of what we've got coming up?
I think people can often think that charity is quite a straightforward conversation with people. It's just about getting people to understand your mission and to support it. It's really competitive.
Yeah.
Now, I'm just going to be honest with you. We compete against every other charity in the country. When I'm trying to get, or our team are trying to get a business to support us as Charity of the Year or something like that, we're up against Cancer Research, we're up against British Heart, we're up against Teenage Cancer Trust, we're up against, you know, the hospice down the road. It's a really competitive landscape, and nobody should be under any illusion that charities aren't businesses. You know, every pound I raise and my team raises pays for what we do, and it pays for the people, it pays for the impact, and it helps people in our industry. The challenge is that actually it's often hard to get that message across to people and to compete against bigger charities with bigger budgets. You know, when you look at, you know, we talk about our awareness being 1 in 6 and we want it to be 1 in 3. You know, look at how many people, everybody in this room has always heard of Cancer Research and may have donated to them through Tesco's and all sorts of other things. We don't have that traction. We're in a narrow audience because we're in the automotive industry. We're kind of niche, but we deliver a non-niche support service to a niche industry. You know, you can get everything you can get, pretty much, most things that you can get from us, you can get from somebody else. The key is convincing people that the importance of coming to a single source to get that stuff, and the brilliant team, most of who are here today, managing people's caseload and holding people together and putting their arms around people. There's a real value to that, but there's a challenge in communicating it. We've never been able to write on the back of a fact packet what Ben does. Yeah. We're probably in a better place now to do it than ever before. But that's what you need to do. We need to be able to convince people really quickly, and for people to really understand that when they give us money, we can deliver impact.
Indeed, and the members of that brilliant team are going to be waiting on the other side of that wall to have lots of chats with lots of people. So that's going to be great after this. Martin, I'm going to come back to you with another doozy of a question. It's what are your top priorities right now?
Well, when you listen to some of these things that Matt's just outlined in terms of the challenges, it's my job to help navigate the path through to balancing the trilogy of the goals that we've set out today, the raising awareness, the trebling our impact, and doubling our income. Those things link into each other, but they're not directly related. So we're not a business. So it's not like if we sell more services, we'll have more money. These things have to grow, but they don't grow necessarily aligned with each other. My job is to try to sustainably map this out so that we can constantly move forward while making sure we're fit for purpose for today, but also for the years that come. So we've got to make sure we spend every pound well. But the key within that is we also need to still remain agile. So I need to put in those foundations, the framework that we can confidently move forward, but not restrict the ability to adapt. The world is changing, what we're going to learn is changing. We need to be able to move quickly and respond, but give them the confidence to do that because we've got the finances in a place we all understand and we're making informed decisions about it. So that's my key goal, really.
Key goal. And we saw some statistics. Earlier. And how are you going to measure the impact moving forward with that in mind?
Well, impact is a big word.
Yeah.
In the chat set, everyone talks about impact, but it's a very hard thing to actually measure. It's a much more of a long-term piece. So through a strategic period, is this period of 4 or 5 years we're heading into now, or more generational when we're talking about prevention, for example. So it's not something you just do something and then the impact's happened. That's more like outcomes, and that's the space we're going to move really into first. So we've been, like most charities, really good at explaining how many people we're helping, the various ways we're helping them, and the volume in which we're doing that, which is a great piece of information. But we're not here to help more people or deliver more services. We're here to achieve outcomes for this community. So measuring the outputs and then the outcomes of what we do is what will be driving us forward. And if we focus on those things, we know we'll do a better job for this community, and that will lead over time to that better, bigger impact that we're going to have. So we're going to keep doing the other stuff, learn more, dive deeper, get more data, and then be really led by those things to, again, be agile and adapt what we're doing based on the outcomes it's achieving. So that's the goal, really.
Amazing. That is a hard question. So how do you measure impact? Again, put you on the spot here. I love this job. This is great. I just put them on the spot and they're like, oh, okay. Literally with a light shining at us. Ellen, I'm going to come back to you with what's something new or surprising that you're trying in relation to Ben?
Surprise. I think new, we are going to be asking our partner to work much closer with our partners. So Matt has just described how we're going to partner with businesses across the industry, but we also need those businesses, and I want to work closer with those businesses of how they can support us and their supply chains. So we talk a lot to businesses around they wouldn't exist without their customer base and they wouldn't exist without their supplier base. So it's the conversation around that business supporting that ecosystem. So are they telling their customers about Ben if they're B2B customers? Are they telling their suppliers about Ben? Are they encouraging those people in their networks to support us, to get involved and to raise awareness as well? So it's kind of using those networks and widening and asking for support in doing that. That's something we're going to be pushing a lot more. And then new, I think Rachel mentioned it earlier about Ben Fest. We want to do more community stuff. We know that getting the community together isn't only beneficial for the industry's health and well-being. Everyone loves these events, but we have to make them worthwhile. We have to make them worth people's time. So building on those communities, so really getting engagement, getting people together and enjoying themselves really and seeing the fun side. We do really serious stuff, but we need to enjoy ourselves too, and that's generally where the best networking happens. We can ask people for a lot more when they're having fun.
Absolutely, Ben Fest is going to be, we're all going to be having a chat out there when the band are playing. What's the one thing your team can never lose sight of? What's the one truth, as it were, that your team can never lose sight of? With all of that going on that you've got to do.
We can ask questions of the industry, but if people don't know about Ben, they can't donate to us and they can't ask for support. So ultimately, all of the stuff we're doing is great, but if people don't know about Ben, we can't help them. And they can't help us. So yeah, that's
just pure awareness.
Everybody in the industry needs to know about Ben, everyone.
Absolutely. You heard it, seriously.
Everyone.
That's on you lot, I think. Obviously I'm joking.
No pressure.
No pressure, yeah, exactly. Matt, I'm going to come back to you. What's one thing every Ben supporter wants to feel, do you think?
So I guess they want to feel like their support is making a difference. And that sounds like a really easy throwaway thing to say, and it's, again, there's some science behind the the dopamine effect of giving to charity. That's why so many people do it. You know, Britain has a long history of strongly supporting charities. We're among the biggest givers in the world, apart from Americans, but they do it for slightly different reasons. They want libraries and hospitals and stuff. But it's to know that when they've donated that we'll do something good with their money, and we won't just kind of throw it away. And there are lots of ways to do that, and it changes over time. The amount of money that you spend on, you know, when we're growing and spending money on awareness and marketing and all the important things we need to do, it's hard sometimes for people to understand that that's an important contribution. So if we're spending more of their pound on doing those things, they shouldn't feel like we're not delivering our objectives, because they are our 3 strategic objectives, and everything costs money in a charity. Nothing really is free. That's another big change. So I think whatever we do to achieve our objectives and support more people in the industry, and those, as Martin and Rachel have said, that all these things are kind of connected, although not always directly, is a good use of their investment in us, really. They see it as we should see that as an investment in the belief that we'll do something good with their money, and we need to be able to show that back.
Yeah, it must be the biggest challenge, because absolutely, as people, we want to know where it's going. When that £10 leaves your hand, not that it's cash anymore, but we do actually want to know where it's going. And what excites you most about where Ben is heading?
Well, having been around for 10 years and worked with Rachel for the past 8, I think we're finally getting to the point where we can do what we wanted to do for quite some time. So I think we've, as Rachel said earlier, we've made the biggest decision with trustees, Steve and the team of trustees, biggest decision we've made and the biggest pivot in Ben's life for the past 72 years. It was 72 years ago that we got into the care business. And I think the opportunity for us to do so much more by working with our industry over the next 5, 10, 20, whatever years, I'm not sticking around for 20, but the next period of time is really exciting and really motivating, because we've been leading up to this for a long time, haven't we? Rachel and I have been banging the health and well, everybody in this room actually, for the Ben team, banging the health and wellbeing drum for so long, but we've been part of a bigger organisation. Now that we're a single focused charity, really focused back on where we started back in 1905, 1908, supporting people in the motor industry. That's really motivating, because we know that what we do is great, and the people in this room that support people in the industry deliver some incredible relationships and conversations that really help people to move forward with their lives, and we know we're really good at that. Really good at that. And I was saying to a couple of people this morning, we're really good when things are really bad, but we also want to be really good when things are not quite so bad, and we can help to help with preventative stuff. So that's really motivating. And it's not, as you can see from my photo, I'm not the most jolly man in the world, and I'm not the softest and fluffiest guy in the world, because my job is to raise money, and I don't see fluff in that, and I hate fluff in charity. I've been more emotionally engaged with people since I joined Ben, and never more so than seeing those videos earlier of people where you know the story and knowing that we made a difference. That's the motivating piece.
Indeed, we've been privileged to actually help put together a lot of those videos, and it's it is sometimes, funny enough, the guys that work for us and the editors, they're so moved by it. I've got to give them a moment, you know what I mean? Because it's quite a tough job, but it's amazing, and also just sort of bolsters everything that you guys are actually doing.
Well, it's a bit about it's the storytelling, isn't it? So when we're just talking about supporters feeling like they're making a difference. I can, and my team can talk day in, day out about the difference we make. I can give you stats all the time. But seeing Clive on there, knowing he's still going after a couple of years of us supporting him, despite the fact he's got, terminal stage 4 cancer, and knowing where he was at the beginning of his journey when he came to Ben, and how difficult things were for him, and how he's thrived and advocated for Ben over the past couple of years as his health has improved and stabilised, that's impact. And they say it far better than we do.
Yeah, indeed. Well said. Martin, I'm going to come back to you about that word finance. It's a word that, I don't know, sort of splits the room a little bit, I think. What do you wish more people understood about finance, especially in this industry, in this business or charity?
Yeah, absolutely. I got into charities because you weren't focused on that bottom line anymore. You were focused on delivering impact to people, and that's the motivation. But I know most people think finance are just there, get excited about saying no when people want to do something. Or say, no, you can't do that. No, it's not in your budget, you can't have it, you can't do it. That's our motivation in life. And it isn't, but someone has to play that role. As in, Matt's just talked about how hard it is to get that pound out of everybody he speaks to, and they want to know what's happening to it. So we need to make it a little bit harder for us to spend the pound as well, so those things are a little bit more balanced out. And that way we'll make better decisions. And that's our job, and it's because that way we know with that extra bit of debate, the different personalities around the table to tease out the right solution, we'll make better use of that pound, and we'll deliver a better outcome, which is those stories that you've just touched on again on those screens, which is the same motivation for the whole of the finance team. That's why we're all here too. We just don't get to see it in quite the same way, but it's the motivations there, and that's why we can be a little bit obstructive at times, but hopefully positive at the same time. That's the real motivation.
You've sort of answered it a little bit there, but I'm gonna push you. What's your favourite parts of your role so far, would you say?
Well, it's not so much about that, although it is around the outcome where you get to at the end. Coming to anywhere new is always a challenge to understand things, but that's what drives me. It's like a puzzle. It's like having all the pieces of a puzzle turned upside down on a table, and you haven't got the box, so you don't know what it looks like. And you're just gradually turning bits over and seeing how maybe they all start to join up and connect, and you'll start building up a picture. And that's what I've been doing, and I'm really enjoying that. And then as we progress through this big period of change, it's then taking that picture, whatever it is, it's a bit like this picture behind us here, and taking us from that picture to that picture, because that's again what hopefully I can bring to the conversations around how we can change and adapt and improve the things that we're doing to make the better version of ourselves, to do the best that we can. And that's where I've started, really. While I can get away with being new.
Yeah, well, that's it. I can't wait to have this chat again in about a year's time. How are you getting on?
Still the same.
Yeah, I'm still new. No. Sarah, I'm going to come back to you, if that's okay, with another people question. Shock, being HR.
It's not a finance one.
It's not a
I only
finance
ask
one.
for money. So.
I'm done with the finance questions. We're away from that. What's helping our people thrive, and what still needs work?
Yeah, I think, and we've touched on this already, knowing what the priorities are, being really clear about that. And I think everyone's got to understand how that cascades down into their role, so that they feel that they're adding that really important value, and that does go hand in hand with kind of job satisfaction as well. We need to invest in our people. Leadership, right down to the people who keep the engine room running, the administrators that we just can't live without, everyone. We need to invest in all of that, learning and development. But we've got a real opportunity now as we kind of move through this transition to that smaller organisation, certainly initially. We've got an opportunity to make this a great place to work and to be an employer of choice. So I have loads of ideas. I'd love to be sitting here in a year's time saying, look at the things we've done, and everyone's really happy to work here. But we also need to understand what everyone wants who is working here, and listen and take that feedback, and it's just a really exciting opportunity. So, people want to stay, and people are queuing up to join. So that's where we need to be.
It's so refreshing. I think there's, amongst every sort of answer here, is that realistic approach is so consistent, and you can totally see that. So it's pretty incredible. I'm going to come to the other Sarah, if that's okay. That would be all right over there. So Sarah, I'm going to ask you a little bit about your role. And what is it your role is, and also how do you support the senior leadership team?
Yeah, so I was brought on board to support the trustees.
We're on.
I'm on. To support the board of trustees, obviously Rachel and the SLT. So, as they say, behind every great leader, you not only have a great team, but you have great support systems. And I'm very passionate at, facilitating great support systems, and that will hopefully enable our leadership team to be as effective as they can be. I also am the Assistant Company Secretary supporting Martin, and I think if you have good compliance, robust compliance and governance systems in place, then that not only fosters accountability and transparency, but it also enables people to perform at their best, and it also empowers trust, because people have to trust Ben and trust that we're doing right, not only by the people that we support, but the employers within the industry as well. So hopefully my role goes some way to facilitating that.
Absolutely, it does. I see everyone nodding out furiously. And yes,
I keep them on their toes.
Yeah, there we go. Perfect. There we go. Keeps them on their toes. That's the best way of explaining it as well. Rachel, we're going to close with a couple of questions for you, if that's okay. Are you not getting away with it, just sort of sitting there listening? Right. What's one thing you want everyone to take away from today?
That Ben is different. We are a single-focused health and wellbeing charity here to serve you, the industry, and we want to work in partnership. We want everyone to take collective responsibility, and that's not one thing, is it? That's many things. But
You
that's
keep
okay.
going.
That's all
You
right.
keep going. I'm not going to stop you.
I think ultimately, you know what, that we're in this together, and I think we all want the same things.
Perfect. Yeah, I was going to let you go. There's lots of things we need to take away, basically. That's what it is, as well as having a good time in a moment at Benfest. There's one more. If this is Ben's bold new chapter, which we've all been speaking about, what do we need from our automotive family to make it happen? From obviously the people in here and the wider automotive audience.
So whilst I think it is our responsibility to seek and find opportunities for everyone to play their part, ultimately it's about everyone playing their part.
Yeah, indeed. There we go. Well, that's our fireside chat. That was a very nice chat. I like that. Now they're going to do some singing. No, they're not really.
No fire though.
There is no fire.
Get you
Fireside chat. It does feel like we're on fire. It's quite warm up here, to be fair. Obviously, this isn't just that. We've got plenty more planned. In a moment, I'm going to direct you out those doors where our team are ready to welcome you into the gallery that we've got set out there. There's going to be lots of chats had. And lots of networking going on as well, and we'll be out there as well once de-mic'd. I think you're going to get de-mic'd, because you've been mic'd up all morning. So yes, you're going to lose the headset, man.
Shame.
Sorry, yeah, it's a shame.
Disappointing.
And then after that, of course, we'll be outside for Benfest, when we can really celebrate the 120 years of Ben. But I will just sort of finish by giving these guys a massive round of applause. And also one thing before we do go on, there are these forms, these little forms I did remember. Someone thought I wasn't going to remember this, but I remembered. These forms will be on the tables in there. If you can just fill that out for us, that'd be fantastic. It is a way, literally, we'd love to know how you would describe Ben. So it's just another way of sort of gathering data. So really, really important we hear about this from you. So if you can take a second and fill them out, they will be available in there. And we're just about to direct you through to the gallery there, and then we'll be seeing you outside for Benfest. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Zach.